Greetings, theists and non-theists. I am the Atheist Paladin. Today I shall deal with the prophecy of Jesus' second coming. When can we expect Jesus to come back? It says we know not the day or the hour, but do we really not know at all? So let's take a look at this. Well, there are a few verses that actually give clues to when Jesus is coming back. Most importantly, I think we should look at the words of Jesus himself. The apostles asked him, when is the signs? Jesus was pointing to the temple, and he said, look at this, and not one of these stones shall not be left unturned. Jesus was referring to the destruction of the temples, and the apostles, or the disciples at the time, asked him when this is going to occur, and when is there going to be the signs of your second coming. Well, Matthew 24 and Mark 13 both describe this story that Jesus is going to tell. The first big clue what we have is Jesus never separates those two events. The apostles ask two questions and they equate them, and Jesus doesn't make a point in separating his second coming with the destruction of the temple. And I can prove this. If we can read on, and says, let's see, verse 3 is describing that there will be many deceivers, there will be many famines, many pestilence and earthquakes, false apostles and all that stuff. And then there'll be lawlessness and all that. And then verse 15, it finally gets into the destruction of the temple. It refers to the abomination of desolation, and he actually refers to Daniel the prophet. We all know how accurate he is. And it obviously makes a referral to the destruction of the temple. So finally we come to verse 29, and it says, immediately after those tribulations of those days, of what days? Of the destruction of the temple. And it says, immediately after, and the sun and the moon will not give its light, and the stars will fall from the heavens, and the power of the heavens will be shaken. And then the signs of the Son of Man will appear in heaven. Aha! So we have an obvious reference right here. This is right after the temple, the destruction of the temple. Immediately these signs should occur. And it says it's almost the same wording in Mark 13. So as we can see, Jesus is actually describing contiguous events. Destruction of the temple, the second coming, and so on and so forth. These are two connected events. And now that I've begun with this, no one knows but the day or the hour. I normally try to reply with this in verse 36. And it says, no one knows the day or the hour, not even the angels of heaven, but my Father only. But as of the days of Noah's were, so shall be the coming of the Son of Man will be. Now think about that. No one knows the day or the hour. Now Jesus just described what's going to happen for the destruction of the temple and the second coming. So he doesn't say, he's not describing, it's going to be coming on the September 12th, 12:30 p.m. post-meridian time. No, he's not saying that. He says, here are the general signs. You will be able to feel it out when it comes. You won't know the precise time, so when you see these things, be ready. And this is what exactly is Jesus saying. Because he also makes a reference to as the days of Noah. When Noah was on the ark for 7 days before even the flood had really started. So it was within the lifetime of Noah, obviously, and yet these people have long since died. Jesus has given clear indications that this generation will not pass until he comes back. Actually, I think it says just that directly. Okay, where does it say that? So shall marriage, blah 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 blah. Taking. There were many that try to refute that passage that say that this shall be fulfilled in this generation. But they try to change the word of generation to actually mean the church, the history of the church itself, that the church of Jesus Christ will not pass away until he comes. But when Jesus says generation, it literally means generation. It has never been used in that manner. I think I'll have to put that verse in the description box where it says that, because this generation will not pass until the coming of the Son of Man. And now they're long since gone. Now, I'm pretty sure a lot of Christians are screaming out of context, but I gave you the verses, look them up yourself. But grab a concordance. If you do not believe me that it says immediately, grab a concordance, look up what the word says in Greek, and see what the concordance says. It's immediately. And this is coming from my own very study of what it says in its original language. So I'm not taking it out of context. This is exactly what Jesus says. So if there's anything you can provide that there is it is the coming of Jesus and the destruction of the temple are non-contiguous, I certainly like to see it. But every chance in the Bible, when it was given, did not happen. So apostles referred to it as a contiguous event, and Jesus made no distinction. And I think this is one of the most damaging points to it. So what of the Apostle Paul? Does he say anything about this? Well, and 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, he actually talks about the second coming of Christ. Let's see. Let's begin with verse 13. I do not want you to be ignorant, brethren, concerning those who have fallen asleep, i.e. died, lest so for others who have no hope. For we believe that Jesus dies and rose again, even so God will bring with him those who sleep in Jesus. For this we say to you by the word of the Lord, we who are alive and remain until the coming of the Lord. Think about that. We who are alive and remain. The Apostle Paul is actually referring to himself and the other people who remain. This is a clear expectation of Paul, stating that he expects to be alive when Jesus comes back. So now we even have the Apostle Paul saying that Jesus is going to be coming back within that time frame. And again, they're long since turned to dust. Now, there are any other indications that Jesus should have came back within the 1st century AD. Yes, there were actually Christian chastity cults at that same time. Now, you're not going to keep an ongoing religion if you expect your Lord to come back, and so you commit yourself to chastity. Well, you can't continue the religion for generations if you don't make the next generation. So this is also damage to Christianity. If there were other early Christian chastity cults saying the Lord is coming back in their generations and they're preaching the purity of chastity, obviously they expected Jesus to be within their lifetime. So as we can see, the second coming of Jesus is long overdue, so much to the point that it disproves Christianity. And I think this is the final nail in my series on the prophecies of the Bible. The Bible can't be any more dead because of the prophecies in it. And yet this is most of what Christians today, they say, well, the Bible has to be true. There's so many prophecies in the Bible have been becoming true. Well, I've gone over most of them today. I've gone most of them in my series. So, as you can see, none of them under true scrutiny and under the true glaring glass of objective looking at the Bible can you ever hope to prove it true, especially through the use of prophecy. So that ends that. So remember, folks, rationality is the path to righteousness.